Thank you very much, Miguel. Good afternoon to those watching the stream. I work as a football scientist in the medical staff of Athletic Club. And today I would like to give a brief presentation about Athletic Club and our approach to data analytics. As you may know, our club is known for having a very unique player recruitment policy that says that only players born in the Basque Country or developed in Basque clubs can play in our first teams. That makes our club a symbol of Basque unity, identity, and pride. For this reason, our academy is very important because we have to develop our first team players in our academy. It was established in 1971, and most of our first team players have come from the academy. With this philosophy, with this academy, our first teams, both male and female, are competing at the highest level. And they have recently won championships in Spain, and they compete regularly in European competitions. So this is our identity, this is who we are. And it's sometimes challenging to bring innovation in a context like this, where tradition is so strong. But we know that in order to preserve our identity, to remain competitive, we have to keep evolving. And we are looking for that next step. In previous Soccerex events, my co-workers have talked about finances, about our stadiums and mames, and about sustainability. And today, I would like to add data analytics to the mix. This is a short outline of my presentation. I think that when thinking about incorporating data analytics into our context, we have to, first of all, understand our identity and context. Then it is important to provide meaningful insights. Data has to be related to the club's goals. In our case, our goals are to recruit players, to develop them, and to maximize their performance. And finally, we have to incorporate data in our daily decision-making processes. So if we start with our context, I would like to share some ideas with you that are important when incorporating data in our particular context. Even though it is important for us to have data from our own players, it is also very important to have data from the rest of the clubs and players from the Basque Country, from our region, due to our special recruitment policy. The club has more than 150 partner clubs in the Basque Country, and we need data from them. Also, the club is strongly committed to women's football since the early 2000s, and it is important to include data in the support that we provide to both women and men, of course, accounting for the particularities of each group. Similarly, since we are very interested in developing young players, we have to consider all age groups, not only the elite adults, but also our youngest players. And finally, an elite football club is a context where many professionals from different areas of expertise collaborate. And we have to take into account that multifactorial context and include data from all these areas. Of course, this means that we might have too much data, and that's why it is important to identify the really important data, the data that is related to our goals. So in the next slides, I would like to give you some examples from my perspective, from the medical and physical area of the club, of questions that we have tried to answer, of insights that we have extracted from our data, taking into account these considerations. If we start with player recruitment, a very simple but important question is to know, where do our players come from? And then we need to start to collect data from those places that you see on the maps. We need data from those partner clubs, we need data from those players. And of course, this is not easy at all. It's really difficult to collect data from the outside. So far, we have done some initial work, and this is just one example. We try to compare the impact of injuries in our under 13 male players with that of players from 2 partner clubs. And what we found was that the impact of injuries in our academy was much greater compared to our partner clubs. Once the players enter our academy, we have to understand the process. We have to understand the demands of each level. What does it mean to progress from one level to the next one? And for instance, in this graph, you can see the match demands of all our male players for a specific physical variable. We have to know what it means to go from under 11 to the first team. What is our methodology? And also we need to describe the profile of our players. And to do this, we need to take into account many variables. This is just an example. There you have the injury profile of our men and women. This is one of the many areas in which we have seen differences between the women and men. And for instance, women are more likely to suffer quadriceps strains or severe knee and ankle ligament injuries. And most important, we need to identify the qualities that separate the future first team players from those that do not reach the first team, because that's our ultimate goal. It is a very important piece of information because that would allow us to try to work on developing those qualities and also assess player potential better and make decisions when recruiting, retaining or releasing a player. One of those qualities is match availability, which makes sense. We found that in our male players, those players that, those second and third team players that progressed to the first team were available in more than 85% of matches. And one last example about team performance. We also need to know why we are still competing at the highest level. What separates winning from losing for us? And even though I cannot disclose the name of this variable for confidentiality, I can tell you that when one of our professional teams is above a specific threshold for this variable, the points per match and the probability of winning increase a lot compared to when the team is below that threshold. And I know that player recruitment, development, and performance are multifactorial and complex, and it's not possible to explain these processes thanks to just one variable. But we really need to find these key performance indicators. And once we find those indicators, what we need to do is we need to provide that information to our decision makers, our players, our coaches, our staff members. They need to have this information in front of them every day. And building such a data system that allows to collect, to access, to analyze data every day, it's really difficult. We have to consider many human and technological aspects. And honestly, we don't have all the answers, we don't have all the solutions, and we have still plenty of work to do. But at least what we have is a starting point. We have something that connects all the pieces within the club, and we can start from there. And that's our club's philosophy. That's our winning formula. And with that, with a little bit of time and with a lot of work, hopefully, data analytics, which is today's innovation, it will become tomorrow's tradition. Thank you very much.
So interesting, John. All the historic approach to athletic clubs, also the Basque Country issue and how it affects to your sports initiatives. I would like to add something more about how do you work with your female team, because you're a historic team in the La Liga Santander, but also your female team, it's so powerful. So which kind of differences do you have said something about different injuries, but I suppose you have different approaches to the female team in terms of data.
Yes, there are many differences for sure. Not only differences, I think that there are opportunities. For instance, I think that we have so much to learn in women's football that if we have a good system and if we can get information, we can use that to improve a lot our processes and gain a competitive advantage. Also, I think that our female players and coaches, they're really looking forward to this kind of actions, for instance, to data-related strategies. So I think that we have to take advantage of those opportunities with our women.
And do you feel that female players are more sensitive to this information in terms of they are have more ability to use the data to know have learn about data you deliver to them?
Yes, I think so. If we compare our female players to our male players, they are more open to participate in this kind of innovative processes, and they are very aware of the importance of data. Now I'm thinking about our main processes, maybe managing very severe injuries or nutrition or the menstrual cycle, and data has to be an important part of those processes, and our players know that.
And have you detected any results of this work with data in terms of less injuries or in terms of more young players joining the first squad? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it's difficult to say. The overall trend in those processes is really positive. Mm-hmm. And now the question is it because our data analytics approach? Is it because another intervention? I think that it is really difficult to find the link between a single intervention and an outcome. I guess it's always the combination of many factors. But yeah, if you ask me, is data or should data be one of those factors? Yes, absolutely.
It's so interesting. I guess it's a mix, like always, but it's also a mix. Your story in athletic between history and modernity or data, high performance. So thanks a lot, John, for sharing with us.